Yeah. So it doesn't have to be uploaded at all. I'll just record it and I can send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Mm.
Yeah, there's like this stomach makes things seem more impactful than they need to be.
Mm.
So recording it and uploading it to YouTube seems like it will make some kind of impact on something because of my stomach, really.
Mm.
So
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
think of it like it's not going to be uploaded because it is completely up to you. So you can look at it afterwards and then, just have it for yourself. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. I can decide after.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted you to just start a recording, because I really is kind of like, I don't struggle, but I can't seem to figure out what I want and what I fear and what I don't mind, kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah. But this sensation in the stomach is like here all the time. So, and of course it's more stronger if there's seems to be something really happening than just drinking coffee. But it's almost always here around, lingering. So
is it like a tightness or something?
Yeah. I have had it like for a very long time now, like I guess like 20 years or something or more. And yeah, it kind of, I think it interrupts my sleep and stuff like that, but it really doesn't. But it's because I think I have to sleep when I'm not sleeping and stuff like that, So, yeah.
Yeah.
You have talked about something similar, stomach.
Yeah, I had that a lot too. A lot of contraction around that area. And it was a sense of guilt. If I had to name it, it was probably guilt that I felt when I was really young. It started really young. So I thought that was me. I thought that guilt feeling was me. And it wasn't until it softened that I realized it wasn't me. And I didn't even know it was really there because I was so used to it, so familiar with it. So it wasn't even like I was identified with it, It was me.
Yeah. It sounds similar. But I, of course, can't find that I'm identified with it, but that's probably not something that I can find either. So it's not findable, the identification, I guess, but it's there. So yeah. And yeah, I relate to that because you said you were really young. So it's probably the same. It's kind of like, yeah, like you said, I'm guilty for something. Like, it's almost like I'm guilty, but I'm also supposed to be special or something like that.
Yeah.
So, so it's like both things.
Sure.
Like I'm guilty for not becoming special or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And that contraction isn't. I wouldn't say it's the me energy. It's just on top of the me energy. So it also doesn't matter if it goes or not. It doesn't impact the seeing of this, which is already the case anyways. But at least the sense here is that guilt is just on top of Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Because there was a lot of healing here, and the guilt was pretty minimal at a certain point.
Mm.
But yeah, the me was still here, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something you mentioned in the video, like, I don't want to hide anymore, I guess was the sentence you used.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like that. It feels like I'm not hiding anymore, but also that there's a lot of noise,
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
feel like things that seem very stressful and could cause lots of fear and stuff. I'm not avoiding these things, it seems, but
Mm,
still the mind will, or the me or the mind will still. I will still have lots of thoughts about, but
yeah.
less now than before, I guess. But there's still recurring thoughts about if there's a future event of something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some worry or fear around that kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's always interpreted back to this stomach sensation,
Mm-hmm.
and the stomach sensation is there always. So uh, it's kind of weird that it's interpreted to be this future event when this stomach sensation would be here anyway.
Mm,
In a sense, and there will always be something happening. There will always be something in the futures. Someone would ask me to do something, or I have to join something, or whatever.
yeah.
There will, yeah, there will always be some kind of. There will always be something for the mind to interpret as something happening in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but the me energy can't help but do that. So there's nothing right or wrong with it. And it does seem like when there's um when there's contractions in the body, I'm not talking about the me energy right now, but
Mm,
if there's anger or guilt or shame or things like that, then it can it it produces these thoughts out of the pain, and then it's a cycle. Like it feeds the energy, and then more the thoughts continue, so it's kind of a loop. um yeah, and it's totally innocent. It's like that's kind of, it just seems like that's how it it happens. So there's nothing right or wrong with it. It's, yeah, it's just how it happens. um yeah, and when I said I stopped running away, it was more like I still removed myself from society. So this is just a story for this person, but
mm,
it it's still like I had boundaries. It's like I still kind of avoided certain people and certain conversations, certain situations. I think the person was tired of running away from the guilt, from the shame, from the fear. So she was willing to be with it. So there's no
mm,
one here to be with it. It's very clear that no one can do that. It's just what it is. It's just what's happening. But in the story, it felt like she was willing to be with it. And if she needed boundaries to not be so triggered all the time, she was okay with doing that too. She didn't call that avoidance. I mean, she kind of was like,
mm.
oh my God, I'm avoiding everything and escaping everything still. But it was also a sense like, this is where the root is. This is why I'm not able to be myself out in the world, it's because of that. So it's not really escaping. It's going toward that which I don't want to feel.
Mm.
So yeah, that's just what apparently happened here. That has nothing to do with already just this, because all of that was already just this.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I get that message now. I mean, yeah, it seems like the message of that is here as well.
Right.
Even at the same time, I'm kind of like wondering if I'm avoiding or not avoiding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's all. It's all just happening. Even the resistance to the guilt feeling or the contraction, yeah, it's already just this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah, kind of hate that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. When there's pain and suffering, yeah, the me can't help but, even if there's not that much pain and suffering, still it's very clear here, still, if there's peace, there's still something missing. There's still a sense of, I'm separate. I need wholeness somehow. Um, yeah, it's crazy that that appears that way.
Yeah, like how can I it's like how can I just let things be in a sense? How is it possible to just let things be? Like that isn't enough in a sense or something like that. So it's because just sitting, can be just sitting, I guess. But here there's always this stomach agitation. And sometimes it's completely okay to sit with that. But it seems like it still is making me do things. Yeah, it still seems like it's making me do things, but I'm doing very little at the moment.
Mm.
But yeah, but so
What do you mean it's making you do things?
yeah, if I'm sitting in the living room, just in a chair, let's say, and it seems like it's more or less manageable, the anxiety or the turning of the stomach seems more manageable. And then maybe some visitors comes and maybe my kids are all over the place and maybe yeah, things getting louder, stuff like that, and then it seems like the sensations are less manageable. But that's the fear, of losing control, I guess, and something plays into that. So then I do sometimes, after a while, try to take a break from being with the sensation, I guess, just to get out of that room or something, to just to just check on, is it am I on the limit of shouting now, or or where am I now? And then I just sit in a new chair and just figure out where my energy is, kind of. I'm not doing all these things. It sounds like I'm doing all these things, but I feel like it's more like the message that you share on YouTube, that it's more like it's just happening than I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm always there in hindsight, that, and thinking that I've been doing these things. So
yeah it is really amazing that everything is just happening, all of the reaction, all of the thought, the feeling, the responding, the wanting to get away, the resistance, all of that is just happening. And it still apparently happens here, all of that. Like a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotions. Still, yeah.
But would you say, because something in the message sounds very appealing to me, and that's the losing of self-consciousness. And would you say that you don't have self-consciousness? Or is that still there too? Is that just something that someone says? Because I guess you could interpret self-consciousness differently with whoever speaks about this message.
Yeah.
Some could say it's not there. Some could say it's there, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a little confusing because how I would describe it is that there is no self-consciousness, because even though there are still thoughts, maybe out of habit, like, there's something wrong with me, or I did something bad, I shouldn't have done that to that person. Even though there's thoughts like that, it's not owned by anyone. It's just a thought. So it's just what's arising, and certain actions can happen because of that, but that's also just what's happening. And when it's described like that, it seems like a progression. It seems like an event of a thought and then an event of an action, but it's just what's happening, and it's so unknowable. It's so not in a timeline anymore. It's not happening to a person. It's not, even a story can arise like, I felt this, I thought this, so I did this. But all of that is just a thoughts or a story for no one. It's just what's arising, just what's happening. And there's no one here to be aware of that, of conscious of that, conscious of a self thinking or a self feeling or a self acting. It's just what's happening. Not happening to anyone. It's not owned by anyone. So yeah, I can't say that there's self consciousness. Yeah, and again, out of habit, out of conditioning, there can be similar emotions that arise, similar actions that are taken. So it can be reminiscent of how it was apparently before the happening. But it's just so clear that there's no one here doing anything, thinking anything, feeling anything. There's no one there either. It's the case.
Yeah. When you say that, it's just impossible to do anything with it, in a sense.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. I can't say there is, or I can't say there isn't. I guess I would just say there is, just because that's the normal thing to say, I guess. But when we say it in these circumstances, I could call it like that. I can't really tell. It's like the only thing I use as evidence is I guess is the sensation again of this body and this stomach and yeah, but that comes and goes as well, so it's not like the best evidence, but it's the only evidence I use.
Hmm.
And some use this dream analogy. And they say the dream didn't happen. But what I'm lately listening to you, it also seems like it's true to say that the dream didn't happen. But it also did not happen.
Mm.
It's impossible to say that it didn't happen.
Mm.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Even for here, it's like, what the fuck is happening? How is this possible? How is there still memories and grief over a certain happening, certain relationships, certain stories, and yet it never happened to anyone, and it never happened. It's it's still shocking, and it's probably because the apparent happening didn't happen so long ago, so there's still a lot of remnants of who Suzanne was and how she was, and yeah, all the relationships and experiences and places she went, things she did. um yeah, and it's odd because it's like it's so clear that nothing ever happened, and even the grief over this apparent story is also not really happening. It's also nothing appearing as this sensation of sadness or heartbreak. And even that has no solidity. Even that is just what's appearing for no one. So it's very odd. It's very haunting. It's very haunting, but it's also beautiful how nothing is graspable, nothing is knowable. There's no one here that ever knew anything. There's no one here that ever existed. But yet there's a memory of a whole life that was lived.
Mm.
And then still relationships continue, apparently, not really, because it's also just what's happening. And there's no future with an apparent person. It's just what's happening. So in a way that does change, but on the outside, this apparent outside, there is no outside or inside, But from the appearance of it, at least for here, everything continued, you know, acting the same with the parents and the sister and the friends. It seems kind of the same. No one notices a difference, really. Maybe the character here is a little happier or something. There's a lightness to it, but no one notices.
Yeah. But that's the same when we are persons as well. Nobody notice much either. Either way, in a sense.
Yeah, I guess so. How can you know really what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like someone could be really, really sick, but it's not something that's detectable in a sense.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But it sounds very this description that you just made, it sounds jarringly barren in a sense. Really, really yeah, since there's nothing then. So it becomes jarringly barren is the thought I had about the description of when you
it's empty, but it's full on vibrant aliveness simultaneously. So it feels very empty in contrast to the complexity of the me energy, because the me energy is story, is time, is doership, and being in control of one's life, owning one's life. So it's a lot in that sense. But the emptiness is also seen as that was never the case to begin with. No one had anything to begin with. So yes, there could be an apparent mourning or a sadness to it, but it was all an illusion anyways. No one was born. No one died. So there is this grief, but even again, that grief is this ungraspable, unknowable, not ownable thing that's just appearing from nothing. Yeah, I wouldn't say again, it's just one character that's reporting right now, but I wouldn't say it's a deep sadness or anything. It's like there is this real emptiness, but that itself is total freedom, total aliveness. It's really, it's vibrant, but it's not like, maybe in the beginning it was like wow, but now it's just like, it's just vibrant. Like it's a very, this is just a description, but I would say it's just like gentle vibrancy, immediacy, totally empty yet totally full.
But it seems like it loses some of the fullness that the person has, because when I look around the neighborhood, I see all the people who's living there, and I think they are living there, and I know who they are, and I see the cars going past, and I'm constantly kind of like in this my own little virtual made up world.
Mm.
And that seems to be lost when maybe there are thoughts about people still for you,
Mm-hmm.
but there isn't this virtual construct that is like, this is this town, and this is these people, and this is
Yeah.
this is how we live, and this is our way of life. Yeah.
Mm.
All
Yeah.
this, it seems to be filled with things for me then when I'm looking out.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be the thing that is lost then for you, I guess. But there's no one, so there's nothing that you lose. But yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Um, so
uh,
all of that seems to still appear, like apparent stories of others, seeming knowing of what another apparent human body is about. But yeah, the solidity is gone. I could see a car, I could see trees, I could see houses, but somehow it's all empty. It's not, and it's misleading to say it's not solid, but the sense, I guess, is like nothing has any real reality to it. It's not as solid as before, but it's still there. It still appears. I still see the same things that any apparent eyes do. Yeah, stories appear, thoughts appear, emotions happen. But yeah.
I guess most of that virtual world disappears because time is um, also drops with the seeing of or the falling away of the person. Then I guess time also drops away. I mean, time as a really real thing.
Right.
As you still have time, of course,
Mm-hmm.
like a useful tool,
Yeah.
like planning for this meeting. But most of my virtual world also kind of collapses if time collapses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is, yeah, I would say that. And also, since there's no inside and outside, there's no real location or space,
Mhm.
then every apparent thing has an evenness to it. And there's no difference, there's no separation, there's no other than, there's no in here and out there, there's no subject object. So it's purely simply just what's appearing to happen or appearing to appear, and everything is empty. So I would say that makes it really, it's not really trippy, but when there's a location, when there's a center here and everything is happening to a center, um that subtle change of just evenness and nowhere, uh yeah, it seems to diminish everything. But not in a negative way. It's just like everything is the same. This body is not
Mm.
any more special or important than this or the air. And it doesn't mean that there isn't a preference to take care of the body and to live a healthy life, an apparent healthy life, and to not be sick. So there's a preference for that. I don't want to, there's not a wanting to be sick. But still, it's like everything just has an evenness to it, a non-importance to it. Yet everything is valuable or nothing is valuable. Equally.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I can think of for this too is time. You need time to make something more important, I guess. To make something more important than something else. If there's no time. And if the whole thing for you is the whole thing that's there now, then there couldn't be more importance of the body than the bottle.
Yeah, and
but still there's, like you say, there's human behavior, like taking care of the body.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. It's a disappearance. And yet there's still this apparent seeing and hearing and understanding by something we call a brain, I guess. They're still walking and talking and touching and feeling, and it's just what's happening. And there's no difference in that than anything else. Like, that's so weird to say, but there's no difference.
Mm.
And yet there can still be enjoyment of certain sounds, some certain music. No one's enjoying it. There's just enjoyment arising from nowhere for nothing.
Mm. And you wouldn't say that since you lost, since it fell away, and since it seems like you don't have equal amounts of stomach turning going on anymore, you wouldn't say that you suddenly now are like the party queen, or that you suddenly just completely changed behavior and become this ultra extroverted person or something like that.
That's a good question, because there was a change here, because this character was really introverted and shy and had some social anxiety, had actually had really intense social anxiety apparently years ago, but it apparently improved. But there was still a kind of a monitoring of how much energy it took to interact with others or be around others. So there was wanting to be in nature a lot, in silence a lot. And I would say kind of that's still preferred, like nature, yeah, preference is here. But interaction with apparent others, even though there is still a limit of how much this body can take, I think. It seems to just happen. If it happens, it happens. And since there's no one here, no one there, it's all just what's happening. There isn't uh, a filter of like, I have to act a certain way to be perceived a certain way, or I want to be liked, or I should say these certain things. There isn't any of that. So it's just what's happening. It's just what's appearing to be spoken by no one. So in that sense, I think if you want to label it, less energy is spent in that sense. And there's no monitoring of energy at all. It's just what's happening. There is no difference between what's felt here, what the other apparent body is feeling there. It doesn't matter. But yet there's still a limit here. It seems like I can't speak to 5 other apparent people in one day. That wouldn't be enjoyable here for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of the difference. If it
Yeah.
can be described, but there's no real logging of that. There's no real like, oh, the person really changed, the person improved, the person. No, it's just like, it's just what seemed to happen. Nothing right or wrong with it, nothing better or worse about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not super judged. It's not super valued. It's just a noticing, like, huh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. A detectable difference, but not super valued.
Yeah. Not important.
Mm.
There's no one here thinking anything is really that important or that significant. It's just what's apparently happening for no one.
Yeah, because here it seems like it could be a big significance. I'm back to what we talked about when we just made the call now. So since the sensation is so strong sometimes, it's not, I feel like the monitoring is fading here as well, the monitoring of the sensation, but it feels like it feels like it's so strong that it does affect my behavior, makes me shyer, makes me more quiet. Yeah, it's so strong that it kind of feels like I need to protect. So, and if that's gone, it sounds significant now, but I guess my behavior would be much different. It's just that but at least it seems like it wouldn't be as uncomfortable, I guess. I couldn't know if I would be more or less shy or
Yeah. There's no way of knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong or right with everything you described. It's not better or worse. It's just what's happening. And yeah, no better, no more or less value to that than this. Like really, it doesn't. It is odd because there's a remembering of how the person here would project onto my teacher, the teacher that I really loved, that wow, she's so outspoken but so gentle, and like I want to be like that. I want to be fearless like that. So there was a projection and a
Yeah.
wanting and a specialness, and um but now it is really seen that no one's going to get anything. No one's going to be here to really relish the being apparently more outspoken or more free, or like maybe in the beginning there were some remnants of the character that had really wanted this, and there was a little celebration that might have happened, but really no one experiences this, no one gets this, no one is living a better life, no one is, no one has improved. It's just what apparently is happening. And
Mm.
I can also say that some characters, it seems like even when the me apparently drops, there's a lot of pain, and there's, my sense is that there's a lot of maybe past trauma or something that can still be very painful for the body. So it doesn't always look seemingly, amazing and great. There can still be a lot of pain. There can still be a good amount of resistance for a bit. Um, yeah. And I have a sense like the pain can feel a little more intense and overwhelming because there's no one there to keep it at bay, to suppress it in a way, or to deny it in a way, or make a story and contain it in a way. It's just what it is.
Mm. Yeah. It seems like it's on the border of that for me too, but it's still like, for example, when we talk about posting this video, like it doesn't mean anything. It's just the words that I'm saying now, and they are empty. Posting the video, but the sensation and the mind projects and comes up with, oh, Google have artificial intelligence to recognize faces, and you will be on the Facebook page of everyone you know, and
Mm, yeah.
So
Yeah, nothing right or wrong with that. So what?
yeah.
Yeah. Just appearing. If there's worry there, and it doesn't want to be posted, so what? Yeah, that's what's appearing.
Okay. So that's chop wood, carry water too.
Yeah. So what? It doesn't matter.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, so it's not like, but also I guess the projections are less for you as well, since they don't matter. Then they wouldn't. It seems like for me that it's less. There's a lesser chance for them to occur for you. The projections.
Yeah. So in the beginning, the apparent, man, nothing really happens, but like, when the apparent illusory sense of me drops in the beginning, there was still like, oh, I don't want to put my full name on YouTube. I don't want my past friends to know what I'm doing. I don't want my family to find me so easily. So there was still that. And that's why I didn't put my full name. But and that's totally fine because some teachers also don't want their original name. And what's wrong with that? Like, who cares? But it's just a preference, you know? So it's not really. So then later my name was out there and there was a little like, oh shit. Oh, yeah, and who knows, there could have been more action to hide that, to make sure that it's not out there anymore. But the reaction was like, yeah, who the fuck cares? And it doesn't really matter. But that was just the reaction here. It could really be that other apparent speakers or people would just really want
Guessing visitors.
yeah.
Getting visitors. It's my kids. They want to be on the camera, of course. Dere må gå ut og jeg vil ikke dere skal ha med på YouTube eller på kamera, for det sikkert sammen med Suzanne. Bare vent litt da. Yeah, I don't want them to be photographed or something on the camera. It would be, they are lovely, so it would be nice to.
There's also still preference here to not expose my apparent family. I don't want my sister and parents to be exposed because they might want their privacy and that's their
you
know.
Yes.
Yeah, and other speakers also want their privacy, and that's just the preference, and there's nothing right or wrong with that. So what?
Yeah, I'm reminded of Kenneth Madden. He sometimes says ganjaji muji booji booji muji or something like that. So you could be Suzanne and muji booji to hide your identity. But yeah.
Those name changes can also just be like a sense of not resonating with your old name anymore, with this old apparent person that never existed.
Yes, like I could see that happen, or I understand. I kind of understand that, but because it's kind of weird to relate to. I mean, the rest, as you said, don't see much of a change. The rest, or the family or friends, don't see much of a change. So it could feel more almost like alien to behave as you would have been behaving before. Like if you had conditioned behavior to really try to help for every single problem there was or something, that would seem like very alien to do.
Yeah.
And something happened like in a long time far away or something. So I understand the name change in that sense. But it also seems like I'm so. This is of course everything is just happening as you say, but it also seems like the entanglement of everything is. We can't escape it just by changing a name, in a sense. I feel a lot of the things that seem to change sometimes it feels like I would hurt people if if I dropped it all the way or something.
Yeah. So there is no saying for sure. This can't be predicted. Nothing can be predicted. But there's already no one there. So no one is keeping it together. No one is in control. No one is making those decisions. That's already being done. It's shocking how in that sense nothing changes. It was always the case. The me can't really imagine exactly how it will be without itself, but it seems shocking that nothing really changes. It was just an overlay. It was just this thing that came on top of everything, that owned and claimed everything, but that was already just happening without this illusory sense. So in reality, I don't know how to say it really, but it's like there isn't really anything to worry about, but it's understandable that the me would worry because it really thinks it's in control. It really thinks this is my life and I made it happen this way. But the apparent brain and body was just doing what it's doing out of conditioning, out of programming. So it's very likely that you won't hurt that apparent person that you cared about when you were an apparent person because that caring was already there. It wasn't yours. It wasn't owned.
Yes.
And that's why it doesn't really make sense that if the me sense drops, someone might go killing other people or like robbing a bank or doing something really out there. It's not in the conditioning. It's not likely that the character will change so drastically like that. Anything's possible, but who knows? Really, who knows? No one knows. It just seems so unlikely because no one was already there. No one was acting like that to begin with. Yeah, it was already just what was happening. And it's like being a caring father or something that'll continue. It's not like uh, yeah, this caring that comes even though the relationship in a sense might change, it won't be as clearly seen that that is my son or that is my daughter. um the caring and love is still, it was already there. It's just what it is, so everything continues. You making sure they're, I don't know, disciplined or something just happens. It was already just happening. Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
stop being a father because you were never a father. It was just what was happening.
Yes. It just seems like I wouldn't if they tell me about a wish or a dream or something like a future wish, sometimes it feels like the message or this message will make it so that there isn't that much importance on that, but it could go both ways. It could be just like a free open, even joining in the dream and yeah, let's do that. Or yeah, yeah.
For sure. Why not?
So
Yeah.
yes.
Because even with, again, this is just this character, but like even with this apparent sister, um she has hopes and dreams for her future. She's planning to maybe get married, but and there's excitement here for that. And there's a wanting to enjoy that with her.
Wow.
There's communicating like, I'm so happy for you, even though there's no one here and there's no one there. Why not? Those words are just being spoken.
Yes. I just you wouldn't get angry if she choose someone else to sing in the wedding than your choice or something like that. You would more be. It would be more lighter, a more freer joining in the planning and the celebration.
Possibly, yeah.
Mm.
Who knows? I don't know how this character is going to act or what it's going to say.
Oh, yeah.
But there doesn't seem to be, yeah, a concern or worry about that. It's just what's happening. Um, but even if arguments happen, disagreements happen, there could be an apparent, amending of something, like saying I'm sorry, but that's just what's happening. Like really no one is responsible, no one is doing that, no one got angry, no one yelled at someone, but yet something can be said like I'm sorry. Where's that coming from? I don't know. Conditioning, I don't know. It's like not really meant. It's empty, but it's still said. It still has
Oh.
relative meaning.
Mm.
There's still a wanting to clear the air or something like that. But it's all like it's empty. It's happening, but it's not really happening. There's a relationship, but there is really no relationship. And yet everything continues.
Mm.
Yeah. It's not as complex as the me thinks.
Yes.
There's a simplicity to it. There's an okayness with how things unfold because it was already just unfolding like that.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned marriage because I have a coming marriage. I'm getting married in May.
Mm. Congratulations.
So yeah, I was thinking about mentioning it earlier too because much of my stomach and stomach sensations and neurotic thinking, I guess, at the time seems to be around this thing, a
Okay.
marriage.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I was trying to speak about it without getting into the story of it if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, but since you mentioned it with your sister, I guess I felt I could
Yeah.
mention it as well. But yeah, but it's interesting anyway, because the stomach's pain and the sense of unworthiness and like I've done something wrong. It really it really spikes with this thing, this marriage thing. But it's a mystery as everything. So you know, I can logically understand how she wants to marry or wants a wedding, because yeah, I think many women are conditioned to want like a wedding or a marriage. It seems so around here at least. So, but where I can't, so that's logical for me, or in a sense, it's logical that she wants a marriage, she wants a wedding, but the logic breaks up when she wants to marry me, you know. because of the unworthiness and the things, you know. So I can't connect, and the brain wants to connect, you know. The brain wants to think, I guess, where yeah, it wants to connect it to me in some sense. How could she want that with me or something like that? Even though we've been together for 20 years, so I feel married to her in a sense. I don't feel there will be much of a change, and there won't be much of a change either. So it's just like this magical thing happening, and no, sorry, magical, more like a mystery. Yeah, magical sounds like positive. It's more like a mysterious thing, and it's more like a party.
Yeah.
Like a celebration of, I guess, everyone's that's there. Celebration of everyone that's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I picture that the attention will be much on the couple that is getting married, and I can't. I'm not the one that seeks the speaker position, I guess, or the position of attention. I don't usually do that.
Yeah.
But she is more fine with that. She has performed dances and stuff like that, so she is more like, I guess,
Comfortable with that.
comfortable with attention. Yeah. So most of the thoughts and the stomach pain is around this. How will I manage the attention?
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so
That's understandable. I think this character would feel the same. This character would want a small, if she doesn't even necessarily want marriage, but if there was a marriage, I think she would just prefer really small. But that's just a preference. And I think it's similar where she doesn't feed off of that much like attention on her. It's not necessary. Um, so yeah, that's just a preference that's there.
yeah, I have the same preference, but but we're having a big wedding, so
Yeah,
there's
I can understand why. Yeah, that could be a little like
yeah, and lots of relatives, you know, that you haven't seen in like a lifetime, and yeah.
Mm,
And my main interest in the last years has been this message, really. I mean, working, being with the family here, and yeah. So I haven't been like the most social person. So this plays in this unworthiness in again, like how much social, where's the limit of this, the socialness I would have to have been to been worthy of getting married. Like how many visits should I've done to their relatives before I felt worthy? How many visits should I've done to my friends to feel worthy?
Okay.
And but there's no answer to that. So
Yeah.
it's better to leave it off as a mystery and then just see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is like the beautiful mystery, that's just what's happening and just what's arising. But there's also no one there to be worthy or unworthy. It's it's just what's happening. I mean, that sense of unworthiness is common within, the apparent me. Yeah, there's it's nothing wrong or right with that. But really, there was never anyone there to be unworthy, to be worthy, to be worse than or better than. There's no one there broken or needing healing, or that was never not lovable. That's
Yes.
It's totally fine if that's felt, that if that's there, that's just what's happening.
Jeg snakker med Suzanne akkurat nå. Jeg kan svare deg etterpå. Ok.
Yeah. And it's interesting how it's common that the sense of me when it's young, it does feel unloved. It feels unaccepted. It feels like its needs weren't met. That something is wrong with me, and that's why I didn't get the unconditional love that I needed. And that's where partially where the unworthiness can grow. But and it's common that the apparent parents that you had weren't able to give you the unconditional love because they themselves, a person can't be unconditionally loving as much as they try. It's not possible. So every child will feel unworthy one way or another, and sometimes it's a lot more than others. Yeah, but really, the child was never unworthy. It was always just perfection. Whatever was happening, whatever was being felt, whatever unworthiness was there. Yeah, it was always just perfection.
Yeah, I get thoughts about being a child and looking up to the sky on the planes. The sounds of the planes. Airplane or plane?
Yeah, airplanes, planes.
Yeah. And then it seems like this seeking has been there since then, because
Yeah.
For some reason, the plane and the sound of the plane and the looking up to the sky and the
Yeah.
So
kind of like freedom, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the child was never unworthy. So
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with the sense of unworthiness. It's part of the story, a part of the apparent journey. Um, Throughout all of that, which never happened, there was never any time, there was never any progression, but throughout all of that, the memory of that, it was always pure unconditional love already.
Yeah. I'm becoming aware of the time, and
Yeah.
I don't want to take much more of your time. And I've been really enjoying your sharings on YouTube, and
Mm.
some of them are like worn out. Like I've been watching them and listening to them over and over. Especially one with, I think its title is "There Was Never Anything Wrong."
Yeah.
It's one of their earlier ones.
Mm.
But I also like the ones that you talk about dread, and you talk about everything. It's nice that you have that you're able to speak from that place, it seems, or at least that it's relatable still, that it isn't like so far off that you aren't able to
Yeah.
speak about it
Right,
and
right.
share about it. Yes.
Yeah, if for now it does seem like the character can't be so simple. It still enjoys reflecting on the person, the me, the how hauntingly beautiful it all is. There's still an interest in talking about that. So that's just how it
Mm.
appears right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks. Yeah. That's nice to hear.
Yeah, I know you're not like consciously making them. So
It's just what's
um,
rising, yeah.
yes, but I still it's impossible not to feel grateful or appreciative of them,
Mm.
even though I'm so yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we'll talk again, and I can think about what you'll do with the recording,
Sure,
and
sure.
you can do too if you think it's not uploadable. You'll just have to tell me. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll.
I mean, I think it was a lovely conversation. I'm fine with even just audio, but it's totally up to you. I don't want you to feel like it's a mistake if I post it and then feel like you regret it or something. Like, it's totally
Mm,
fine if you don't want to. So you can just take your time and decide. Yeah.
that sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Keep in touch.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. Bye bye.
Bye.